Imagine a freezing night in Ice Age Europe, 30,000 years ago. A campfire flickers beneath an endless sky as two prehistoric men sit shoulder to shoulder, sharing warmth, food, and silent trust. Were they simply companions struggling to survive? Or was their bond something deeper? What most people don't realize is that the concepts of homosexual and heterosexual are surprisingly modern inventions. Yet same-sex attraction itself may be as ancient as humanity. As archaeology, evolutionary biology, and genetics continue to uncover our past, they reveal a story that challenges one of the most enduring assumptions about human nature. And it begins long before civilization itself. If same-sex attraction has existed for thousands of generations, then the next question is unavoidable. Where does it come from? The answer, according to modern science, is far more complex than many people imagine. Researchers have found no single gay gene. Instead, sexual orientation appears to emerge from a combination of hundreds, perhaps thousands, of genetic variations, each contributing only a tiny influence. Together, these biological factors help shape attraction long before a child ever takes their first breath. These genetic patterns are found in populations across every continent, suggesting they have remained part of the human gene pool throughout our evolutionary history. But genetics is only part of the story. One of the most fascinating discoveries comes from the womb itself. Scientists have identified what is known as the fraternal birth order effect. Studies show that with each older biological brother a mother has previously given birth to, the likelihood that a younger son will experience same-sex attraction increases by roughly 1/3. The leading explanation involves a natural maternal immune response that subtly influences fetal brain development during pregnancy. Because these prenatal biological mechanisms have likely operated in humans for tens of thousands of years. Many evolutionary scientists conclude that prehistoric hunter-gatherers almost certainly included individuals with same-sex attraction, probably in proportions remarkably similar to those seen in modern populations today. Here is where the mystery becomes even more fascinating. If Charles Darwin's theory of evolution favors traits that increase reproductive success, why hasn't same-sex attraction disappeared after hundreds of thousands of years? Why would evolution preserve a characteristic that, at first glance, seems to reduce direct reproduction? Scientists have proposed several explanations, and one of the most compelling centers on group survival rather than individual reproduction. Among prehistoric hunter-gatherers, people rarely lived alone. Small bands of just 15 to 50 individuals depended on cooperation for everything, finding food, defending territory, and raising children. In such communities, strong social bonds could mean the difference between life and death. Some researchers suggest that individuals capable of forming deep same-sex, emotional, or sexual bonds may have strengthened alliances, reduced conflict within the group, and contributed to greater social stability. Interestingly, studies have also found associations between the hormone progesterone, which plays a role in social bonding, and increased same-sex attraction or fantasy in certain contexts. While this does not prove a direct cause and effect relationship, it hints that the biological systems governing attachment and cooperation may be more interconnected than once believed. What do you think? Could evolution have favored cooperation just as much as reproduction? Let us know your perspective in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, because the next discovery suggests that prehistoric societies may have been far more accepting of human diversity than many of us imagine. The challenge for archaeologists is obvious. Love leaves no fossils. A romantic relationship cannot be excavated the way a stone tool or a spear can. But culture often leaves behind subtle clues, and those clues are surprisingly widespread. Across nearly every inhabited continent, anthropologists have documented traditional societies that recognized more than two social gender roles. Among many indigenous peoples of North America, individuals now commonly described under the umbrella term Two-Spirit often held respected positions as healers, spiritual leaders, or artists. In Samoa, Fa'afafine have long been recognized as a distinct gender role, while South Asia has preserved the Hydra community for centuries. Although these identities are culturally different from modern Western ideas of sexual orientation, they demonstrate that human societies have repeatedly created space for people who did not fit conventional gender expectations. Archaeology offers intriguing hints as well. One remarkable burial discovered in Moravia, in today's Czech Republic, dates back nearly 5,000 years. The skeleton was biologically male, yet it was buried in a position and with grave goods traditionally reserved for women in that culture. researchers remain cautious. This is not proof of sexual orientation or gender identity, but it does suggest that ancient societies may have recognized social roles far more diverse than we often assume. What surprises you more? That these traditions existed across the world, or that many disappeared from history? Share your thoughts below, because written history is about to reveal even clearer evidence. Once writing emerged, same-sex relationships were no longer hidden in speculation. They began to appear in humanity's earliest records. In ancient Mesopotamia, some legal and religious texts mentioned same-sex acts within specific social and ritual contexts. Certain practices were associated with the worship of the goddess Inanna, while others reflected ideas of power, status, and social hierarchy rather than sexual identity as we understand it today. Ancient Egypt offers one of history's most debated examples. The tomb of two royal officials, Nyankhnum and Khnum-hotep, dating to around 2400 BCA, depicts the pair embracing and touching noses, a gesture comparable to a kiss in Egyptian art. Historians continue to debate whether they were brothers, close companions, or romantic partners, but the intimacy of the imagery remains extraordinary. Then came classical Greece, where certain forms of male same-sex relationships became integrated into education, mentorship, and military culture. Perhaps the most remarkable example was the Sacred Band of Thebes, an elite force composed of 150 male couples. Ancient writers believed lovers would fight more fiercely beside one another than strangers, and for decades, the unit proved nearly unstoppable until its final stand at the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BCE. Which story fascinates you the most so far? Egypt, Mesopotamia, or Greece? Tell us in the comments, because one final piece of the puzzle has often been overlooked throughout history: the story of women. For centuries, history was written largely by men, about men. As a result, the experiences of women, including same-sex attraction between women, were often overlooked or deliberately erased, yet biology tells a different story. Among bonobos, our closest living relatives alongside chimpanzees, female same-sex behavior is not rare. It is central to social life. Female bonobos build strong alliances through physical affection, helping maintain peace, reduce conflict, and strengthen cooperation within their communities. This reminds us that same-sex attraction is not an isolated human phenomenon, but part of a much older evolutionary pattern. Human history offers its own echoes. The famous poet Sappho of the Greek island of Lesbos wrote passionately about love and desire between women more than 2,600 years ago. Her surviving poetry remains one of the clearest historical testimonies to female same-sex attraction in the ancient world. Taken together, genetics, prenatal biology, evolutionary theory, archaeology, anthropology, and written history all point toward the same conclusion. Same-sex attraction is not a modern invention. It is a natural and enduring part of the human story. That does not mean every culture viewed it the same way, but the evidence suggests it has accompanied our species since its earliest beginnings. If you enjoyed exploring the science behind humanity's past, don't forget to subscribe and join us for more evidence-based journeys into ancient history. And before you go, tell us, which discovery in this documentary challenged your assumptions the most? Your answer might inspire the next episode. From prehistoric campfires to the first civilizations, the evidence points in the same direction. Same-sex attraction has been part of humanity throughout our evolutionary journey. History is often more complex than modern assumptions. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, subscribe, and let us know what ancient mystery you'd like us to explore next.